You don't understand that on the other side of that kind of breakdown is this beautiful breakthrough, and that there's so much beauty on the other side of reinventing ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it starts with a feeling.
Mhm.
And I think if we all take a minute, we talk about slowing down so much on this podcast and in our life and with all the parents we talk to and all the young adults that we talk to. But it's true, when you slow down, all of a sudden you can start to tune into that voice that's right there below the surface, that
Mhm.
knows who you are and knows what you want and knows what your worth is and what your values are. Welcome to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast, where we explore some of the truly difficult questions and challenges that parents and their families face every day. Whether it's the sometimes painful process of parenting teens and young adults, navigating relationships with your partner and children, or you discovering your purpose in relationship with yourself, we will bring heartfelt and vulnerable conversations to the table to support and empower you. Our mission is to help you create a lifestyle full of love, passion, adventure, and influence. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast with the spiritual badass herself, Erin Verdis.
Yes,
I
I
haven't
love
broken that
it.
one out ever, I don't think. And of course, I am Chris. It is such a thrill to be back with all of you today. How's it going, sweetheart?
It's going great. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. We have a few things going on. It's a busy time of the year for Erin and Chris.
It is.
All good stuff, which we're going to get into, I'm sure, at some point during our episode today.
Yep.
But most importantly, we hope everybody out there who's tuning in today is also doing extremely well. This is a busy time of the year, regardless if you're getting married in 2 weeks, right?
In Puerto
Or
Rico.
you're about to hop on a plane to Puerto Rico, or you're trying to bring in your immediate family along for the ride.
Oh,
Everybody's got stuff going on. Plus, we have
graduations
middle school
and
graduations, high school graduations.
yep.
I'm sure you can relate because the school year is wrapping up. For some of you, the summer has already started.
Yeah, just a lot of fun, like new beginnings, new
Yeah,
journeys about to begin. So, although hectic, I keep grounding myself in the excitement of it all
yeah.
and just the deeper meaning behind everything that we're about to walk into.
I created a little clip yesterday. I think it was for Instagram, where the whole idea was that summer goes by in the blink of an eye.
Hmm.
And it's true. However, it's also this incredible time of the year. It's also this incredible opportunity. And so we hope that conversations like this help us all slow down for a few minutes, become a little bit more intentional, and most importantly, get focused on what's really important, which, by the way, mom and dad, it's you.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
that kind of leads us to today's topic, right, babe?
Sure does.
So, what is today's topic?
Today's topic is all about how to reinvent yourself. And those are some pretty big words. And I know that can mean a lot of different things to different people.
Yeah.
It's about those times in life when you come up against yourself and you have those aha moments, right? Whether it's in a really good positive way of like, I'm ready to go into this next phase of my life and try something
Yeah.
new. Or the universe forces you into reinvention that, you know what, this is no longer working for me. I'm completely out of alignment with the things that are really important to me. I'm burnt out. I'm stressed out. I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah.
Something has to effing change.
Yeah.
Either way, reinvention is such a beautiful time in our lives if we can see it like that. And I think when you're younger and you're going through it for those first couple times, and I know I'm going to talk about one of my really early reinvention stories in a little bit, it feels like the world is collapsing.
Yes, it
It
does.
feels like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. You don't understand that on the other side of that kind of breakdown is this beautiful breakthrough, and that there's so much beauty on the other side of reinventing ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it starts with a feeling.
Hmm.
And I think if we all take a minute, we talk about slowing down so much on this podcast and in our life and with all the parents we talk to and all the young adults that we talk to. But it's true, when you slow down, all of a sudden you can start to tune into that voice that's right there below the surface, that
Hmm.
knows who you are and knows what you want and knows what your worth is and what your values are. And I'm excited when we get to the point today where we're going to share our stories, because the thing about sharing your reinvention story, and we all have them, we've
Mhm.
all changed, we've all evolved. Now, sometimes you could make the argument it's not always for the better, but today we are focused on growth. We are focused on positive evolution,
Mhm.
because that is the feeling that we're all striving for, that
Yeah.
we're all searching for. It feels good when you're moving forward and you're becoming that best version of yourself that you know that you're capable of being.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I was talking about is as you get older and you've gone through this and you've been able to put that positive spin on it, you have reference. Right?
Yeah,
You know that, yes, this is going to be a bitch to go through, right? This is going to be hard.
right.
And oh my God, I got to climb up this mountain and it feels like you're starting over. But when you've done it before and you're mindful and intentional about it, you know that on the other side of that is, yeah, there's that evolution. There's that feeling of freedom again.
Yeah,
When you're young, you don't have that yet. And so all it feels like is the uphill climb. And something you said a second ago, I had a thought about,
yeah,
that little voice, little Jiminy Cricket
yeah, huh?
voice in
Yeah,
all of us that we are always reminding our kids when they're little
yeah.
to listen to, right? That voice of right and wrong, don't touch the hot stove. Like
Sure,
it starts with those simple things. And it got me thinking just now how we lose sight of that.
we
We
do.
lose sight of it for our young adult children. We don't want them to always be following that voice as much. We just want them to follow our directions a little bit more. But even us as adults, it's so easy to lose touch with that voice of consciousness of like that's right
Mm,
below. We also get so distracted and we're overcome with having to make the right amount of money and take care of everybody. And we get lost and that voice gets drowned out.
yeah. And so I guess the question then is, why do we get lost?
Mm.
Why do we get stuck? And I think that's really important because we want our conversation today to inspire. The thing about, talking about things and sharing stories and how we feel, it's not just making us feel good, because it does. Erin and I always feel great after we have these
Yeah.
conversations. Today and every other day that we talk about these things. But most importantly, when we hear these things, it can inspire us. And actually, that voice starts to get a little bit louder. I know that as I was growing up, there were always people that I looked up to, that I was inspired by, either through their stories or through their actions or all the above. And whenever I would be in an environment like that, I would walk away and that voice inside of me would be so much louder, so much louder. And yet, when I was miserable in my job for a lot of years, which I was, when I was unhappy in a relationship for a lot of years, which I unfortunately was,
Mhm.
all of a sudden that voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter for a while.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's one of the main reasons that people feel stuck,
Yes.
right? Is that autopilot. It's
Yes.
that idea that, you know what it's like. We know what it's like. You get, especially once you have children, the years go
Hmm.
by. The years go by and you're raising little ones, and then they
Yeah.
become young adolescents and then teenagers. It's no surprise that so many people, when their kids finally go away off to college and they're left just the two of them, decide to get divorced, or we
Right.
get to this midlife where we decide to change careers because you finally kind of have that time again. It's
Right.
quieter. Use that voice is no longer able to be silenced through raising kids and taking care of other people. And so it's that living on autopilot. We're just getting by day to day. We're trying to make money. We're trying to take care of our kids. We're trying to get the next raise, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And we really lose sight when you are busy in that stage of life. It's so easy for all of that noise to consume you.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think that the way that I would summarize it is, and I'm just thinking of myself, is that you're just focused on other things.
Mhm.
You're not focused on yourself. You're not necessarily focused on your passions and your purpose. Maybe you are focused on your parenting. I know for a lot of us, and that you and I, Erin, like that was a big part of our lives, has been for the last 18 years.
Mhm.
And when you're in that lane and you're in that zone, it's really easy for other areas of your life to start to be put to the side or not get the attention that they deserve or maybe even that they need
Yeah.
in order for us to be our best. And so relationships suffer and your jobs suffer. Or in my case, too, I was focused on my career way too much. A career that was not the right job for me or the right career for me past a certain point. And I'm going to share it. I'm going to talk about that because that's part of reinvention. But when you're focused on that, all of a sudden you lose touch
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah, and I think that some of that can lead to is another reason I think we stay stuck, and this was true for me, and this isn't part of the story I'm gonna share today, but it's part of my overall story. Excuse me, is stress and
Yeah.
survival mode. I spent a number of years feeling very much in that survival
Mm,
mode. In a relationship I felt often trapped in,
hmm.
even though I left a couple times, I felt emotionally and psychologically tied
Yeah.
to and went back and forth. And then having little kids in the midst of all of that, feeling
Right.
very stressed all the time, on eggshells, feeling like I was just trying to get by day to day.
Yeah.
And that's more in hindsight. In the actual days, I was doing a great job as a
Of
mom. My
course you
kids,
were.
had a great childhood. Things went well enough because I made sure to put myself second so I could take care of them. But I think that's part of your story, if you were a single parent or you were in a challenging toxic relationship, we find ourselves in these different circumstances throughout our lives where we're in survival mode. You're in a lot of stress. And again, that time tends to fly by.
It sure
And
does.
so we don't even recognize during that time, somewhere inside that voice is down there saying, it's time to reinvent yourself. You
Yeah.
need to get the hell out of this and figure out what's next for you. But
Yeah.
it's not always so easy. This podcast is mainly for parents. And when we have other lives to take care of. It's not always so easy to just up and reinvent yourself when they're younger.
Exactly. And I think that one of the messages that we want to always reinforce, is that as we're getting older and our kids are getting older and they're going off to college or they're in high school, it's this amazing opportunity for a lot of us to maybe slow down a little bit because of the power that's in that. And I know, Erin, part of our reinvention story was we finally started to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going a million miles a minute and you're focused on kids, you're focused on work, or whatever your focus is, everybody's got different focuses.
Mm-hmm.
It means that you're not balanced. And I know that's a little bit of an overused word, but it just means that you're not connected
Yeah.
with some of the things that we need to connect with in order for us to be ourselves, our true selves.
Mm-hmm.
The part of us that's capable of doing so many incredible things still. And I'm 51. Erin's just about to be
At 30.
30 because that's actually another big milestone.
I'm almost 50, everyone. I'm gonna
Oh
be
my gosh.
50 this Saturday, the day my son graduates high
How could we
school.
be this far into the
I don't
conversation and we're
know.
talking about, oh, it's going to be an incredible
Reinvention.
summer and reinvention, so much stuff going on, and we didn't talk about your 30th birthday coming
I
up.
know. Oh
That's
my
pretty
goodness.
exciting. And if somebody's listening to this or watching
Yeah,
this, it's not actually 30.
it's not. I said 50.
Oh,
Just
you
said it.
did?
Yeah, you were talking too loud.
I was. I
No,
do
I'm
that.
turning 50. I'm owning it. It's okay. I love getting older. I get to reinvent myself again in this next phase of my life, which is a whole nother podcast. But yes, and so alignment, that's back to you just said something about alignment. And if I had to simplify this, is when we know it's time to reinvent ourselves, is when we are not living in alignment. Alignment with the very things that Chris and I coach on every day, alignment with your values, alignment with your passions, alignment with that voice within. And when I think back to that time in my life, I was just talking
Mm.
about, I had done some work on myself, and I'm going to talk about that right now. I had been on my journey for a little bit. I knew a little bit about what my values were, about what was important to me. And I knew I was not in the right relationship. I was not living my life in
Right.
alignment with those things that were important to me. And I think that's why so many of us, we wake up and recognize that we are not in alignment with the things that are truly meaningful to us, that are going to really help us evolve to that next level.
Mm.
And so the story I kind of decided to talk about today is, what got me on that trajectory in my life to begin with. And I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, if you've listened in the past. But mine is when I was a young adult is what came to mind. I tried not to think too hard because I have a lot of reinvention stories. But I was in my early 20s and I was a model for many years. I started a modeling career when I was a young teenager, and that's what I did through probably my mid to late 20s before I went to college
Hmm.
eventually, got my degrees. But I was modeling, I was living in New York City, I was traveling around the world, I was working a lot, I was traveling a lot. Early on in my career, I just would go to the gym every day. I was not a kid in high school who partied very much or drank very
Hmm.
much. It just wasn't my MO. It ran in my family a lot. I think I was scared of that. But eventually, and I got a little bit caught up in the party scene in New York at one point. I was going 150 miles an hour, like
Yeah.
you just said. I did not stop for a second to think too much about where this whole trajectory was taking me. But what I do recall back then, and I didn't know it until now it's in hindsight, is that voice was so loud.
Wow.
I had this voice that was like, You are not on the right path.
Hmm.
You have a responsibility in this world. You are
Mm-hmm.
meant for way more than this, even more than this modeling career. And this is not who you are. And it was loud. And so I was very fortunate. I don't remember that voice before that time. And so the
Mm-hmm.
cool thing is that we need those moments in us. We need those dark times, those sort of
Yeah.
dark nights of the soul, those moments when our spirit is crying out to us because sometimes we don't have that voice otherwise.
Right.
And so I knew it was time for a change. And I met somebody who at the time turned out to be my boyfriend for several years. I was in my very early 20s. And there was just something about him. Again, in hindsight, I look back, he was a little older than me and he was on a spiritual path in his life. And I probably was attracted to that because I knew that I wanted out of this
Hmm.
other life that I had got caught up in. And I just really started gravitating towards now I see
Hmm.
the things that I value most, the things that my soul was crying out for, the things that I'm passionate about and have been ever since my early 20s. Personal development. I found meditation teachers. I discovered Buddhism. I got back to my Native American traditions and my
Mm-hmm.
roots and teachings. I started meeting all these incredible spiritual women in New York that I met through Randy at the time, this boyfriend of mine. He was sober. And so he was in the community of women who were sober and doing these spiritual retreats. And he introduced me to a lot of them. And my life just opened up to me. It's like everything just opened up to me. And I knew that that was going to be my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it truly has been my journey ever since. But for me, I feel very fortunate. It was that voice. I knew I was not living in alignment with the things that were important to me. And soon
Mm.
after that, I decided to go back to school and decided to study psychology. And I studied Native American studies. And that all eventually led me to this path of life coaching that I've been on
Wow.
for all of these years. So that reinvention story is so important to me
Mm.
because it was the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
And that's why even when I it wasn't just all roses after that,
Right.
because it never is. You can have those early reinvention stories and life is still going to come at you.
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't perfect. And so I had a lot to deal with after that. But that foundation that I set for myself at that time in my life is what has carried me through the other dark times that I've had to reinvent myself from.
Wow. That's inspiring.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
You know that
I
story. You love
love
hearing it
to
over and
hear
over
that
again.
story. But once again, that's important for us to reconnect with those stories
Mhm.
because that's reconnecting with ourselves. That's also getting the opportunity to share it with a mom or a dad or whoever's listening because there's a similar opportunity that awaits all of us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share my story now because my story, I'm going to fast forward. Erin's story is a little bit earlier in her life.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit later, where I was already busy in a very successful marketing career. Successful in that it came easy to me. And I think that's why I fell into marketing because in a lot of ways, marketing was the safe path for me. As I was in college and I was thinking about who I was and what I wanted to do, I knew what I was passionate about. I knew who I was. I wasn't yet ready to take some of the bigger steps that I really needed to take to become who I was capable of being. And so I fell into a career in marketing that, by the way, was still allowing me to be a leader and be creative. And I worked with some amazing brands. I got the opportunity to work with so many young adults. And that was part of how I ended up to where I am today. But I was also going a million miles a minute. I was traveling around the country. I was in a different city almost every single weekend. I was doing events and I was with clients and I was wining and dining. And literally, I was working 12-hour days from breakfast to working during the day to dinners to evening activities and experiences that we would do to weekend events. It was really nonstop. And during all that time, I had two amazing kids and that I tried to spend as much time as I possibly could with. It was probably more about quality over quantity.
Mhm.
But because I was working so hard and I was day after day and month after month, I was getting burned out. And very slowly as the years progressed, and unfortunately the story does go into the years, the longer than it should have went in retrospect. It went way too long, and that frustrates me because I missed out on some opportunities along the way and some reinventions that could have happened much, much earlier. But it's because I was a dad. I was also a husband that for many years was in a very not unhealthy, but a very unhappy relationship with a really wonderful woman who we had nothing in common with. And we kind of knew that pretty early in our relationship. And yet we stayed together for probably a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason was because of the kids and because we were busy in our own careers.
Yeah.
And so as time was going on, the job that I once found fun and exciting, and there were parts of it that I did enjoy, I started to get burned out. I started to realize that I had reached a ceiling, that I had taken this job and this career literally as far as I could take it. If I had continued, there was literally nothing new that I could do with it. Now, that's not necessarily true. I could have reinvented myself within marketing and continued a career, but I knew that's not what I wanted. And this voice inside of me started to become stronger and stronger and stronger. And so my reinvention story comes in two different phases now. One phase was from a career standpoint. It was my very last work trip to New York City. And I was there for a really big client meeting, I think with Armani or some really big brand. And I went in, I had a great meeting. I finished on a strong note. And then as I walked out of that meeting and I got in a cab and I was heading back to LaGuardia, that voice was glaring, just the loudest it had ever been. And I remember we were crossing one of the bridges to go to the airport. And I just said to myself, that was the last time I'm ever doing that.
Yeah.
And it just became so abundantly clear that it was time for a change. And that was the moment. And not soon afterwards, I made the same decision about my relationship.
Yeah.
And that quickly followed where I took a couple of months off and I just reconnected with myself and I slowed down and I started to think about, again, for the first time in a long time, what some of my passions were, what I enjoyed about my job. And I started to put all these pieces together. And it didn't take too long, Erin,
Yeah.
where all of a sudden I knew because I loved working with young adults. I knew what my passions were. I wanted to make a difference. I always wanted to make a difference. Didn't matter what I was doing. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to motivate and inspire. And I finally, after a month or two, I finally said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to become a coach. I'm going to figure out what the next steps in my relationship are. And I did. And all of that happened within months
Mm-hmm.
instead of years, which
Yeah.
is what it had been up until that point in time. And that was an incredible moment in my life because here I am today
Yeah.
with the love of my life, doing what I love, building our brand, getting a chance to speak to some incredible parents out there.
Yeah.
This is what we're meant to do.
Yeah, I love that story too, honey. And it's true, so much of our process, our coaching process, what Chris and I have been building all these years with our coaching programs with young adults, with parents, me with women, is so much of it stems from these stories, from our
Yeah.
own journey.
Yeah.
A lot of what I work on with the young women that I coach is my story that I just shared with you, which I
Yes.
kept really brief and concise. So there's so much more depth to it. But it's all those steps that I took when I recognized that I was not in alignment with the life I was meant to live
That's right.
and what was really important to me and the steps that I took to get quiet and to slow down and to get back in touch with who I truly was and get clarity on my future and what I really wanted for myself. And that kind of brings us to the process that we do use with our clients is all
Yeah.
about that. It's about learning how to slow down. And one thing I want to say, Chris, about your story is it's really amazing that it can take so long to get to that point. Tony Robbins always says, we think that we change, it takes years and years to change. He's like, it's like a snap of a finger.
Yeah, it can be.
We really can change that
It can
quickly, and we
be.
often
Yeah.
do. It's just, it takes us so long to get to that point. And I always say, when you're on the fence, it's the worst place to be. It's so miserable. It's uncomfortable. There's no going this right or left. It's just, you're just stuck. And when you finally make that decision, and it is like that snap of a finger, the blink of an eye, everything, the universe meets you in the middle, and all the opportunities show up and things unfold.
Yeah, and what does it take to trust yourself to make those hard, confident choices? Like, that's the question. And I think that's what so many people and us, we struggle with, have
Yeah.
struggled with in the past. It's making those choices, even a choice that we know is the right choice for us. And there's so many reasons to do it, but there's also that voice that's trying to hold you back. Because we've talked a lot about that positive voice that knows who we are and knows what we want and knows what's important to us. There's a lot of other voices that can complicate the process too. And that's why the first step in this process, and we can get into a lot of the details, and there's so many different ways to do it, but it's just practicing the art of slowing down. And there's different habits that you can do that. There's different ways to do that. But if you just think to yourself, what is a moment each day where I can just have some time to myself, slow down, get away from life, my job, my relationships, my responsibilities, just so that I can spend some time with myself? What change or difference can that make in your day and your life?
Yeah. And getting away from, when you are going through some of these dark nights of the soul, and you
Yeah.
need, is too much input from other
Oh,
people.
yeah.
It's so important to really just, everybody else needs to be drowned out.
Yes.
You really need to get into this place of trusting yourself and trusting your own intuition and knowing your instincts and what's best for you. And even with that, it can be challenging. My time that I spoke about, when you're younger and alone in life, and
Right.
for parents listening, I share that story because I think we want to know how our young adults can evolve and
Yeah.
help them learn how to go within and reinvent themselves. So it feels a lot easier when you're younger and you don't have children and marriages and big careers that are counting on you. It is a lot harder as you get older and you have
Yeah.
all this responsibility. So Chris is right. We don't want to skip over that because it's really challenging to know what to do. I remember spending hours crying and knowing I needed to leave that relationship. And it was just so hard to pull the trigger.
Yeah. And I mentioned, I think when I was getting ready, as I was starting my story, that when I got into the career in marketing, I knew certain things about myself, what some of my passions were. I loved entertaining. I loved being up on stage. I had dreams of film and radio and television and all these things. Right. And so I knew that there was this stuff inside of me that needed a voice. It needed a platform. I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but that's what I lost touch with over the years, was that part of myself. There were certain moments where it would get a chance to come out, and man, I never felt better.
Now you're on stage every day here at home.
Yeah, well, whether it's a single audience, meaning me and Koa
Right.
or Tiny,
Our
or
pets.
we're doing this podcast,
Yeah.
but it's true, and that's when you feel alive, is when you're either reconnecting with these parts of yourself, these passions,
Yep.
these values, the special ingredients, the things that make you who you are. How can we live a life doing things that are not in alignment with who we are? I don't know. That is such a breakdown in a conversation that we could have in the future to really understand how that happens in the first place. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But the point is, when you're older in life like we are, and we're not old, there's plenty of time, but feels that way sometimes, is that you have to reconnect with those parts of yourselves. Because I bet if you take a second right now, you have passions.
Yeah.
You have interests. There's things that you're great at. Maybe you haven't done it for years. Maybe now is the time to reconnect with it, to get it started again. And then if you're a young adult, or if you have young adults, look, we have 90 days of summer in front of us. Man, this is the absolute perfect time to go out and learn more about yourself. Try some new things, find a new hobby, explore your curiosities. If you're a parent, you don't know who you are. And we know parents like that, and that's okay.
And trust us, you might be listening to this thinking, okay, so what do I got to do? What class do I need to
Right.
take? And it's not out there.
No,
That's the thing is it's in
it's right
here.
in
It's
here.
in you. And so I'm going to give you some simple rituals right now that are really helpful with this. That might sound overly simplistic, but I promise you this is the
Yeah.
process that works. It's getting out in nature for a walk by yourself,
Yes.
without headphones, without your phone, even without another person.
Mm.
And just listening to yourself, being out with the trees and the sunshine in the summertime. It's grabbing your journal in the morning with your cup of coffee or tea and spending 10 minutes alone, just getting grateful for anything you can think of in your life that brings forth those feelings of gratitude.
Yeah.
It's taking a hot bath at the end of a long day and just sitting with your own thoughts and thinking. There's so many ways to just start that process of just reconnecting with yourself so you can start to hear that voice a little bit. That's where it begins.
Yes.
And it's in there. Our brand and our business is extraordinary purpose because Chris and I wholeheartedly believe that we all have a purpose. We're all here to contribute something great to the world. And it doesn't have to be on some great big grand stage or big scale.
No.
It could be planting a beautiful garden every summer that your neighbors get to look at on any scale. But we have a gift. We all have something we're here to contribute. And so it's getting back in touch with that. And the only way to do that is to slow down and get quiet.
Yeah. And so I think the challenge for all of us is to think now about the next 90 days.
Mhm.
And what we're going to do is we want for all of us to identify what a couple of these rituals are, these things that you're going to do every single day that are all about slowing down and grounding yourself and connecting with yourself. That's how it all starts.
Mhm.
And it takes practice. We talk so much about practice, but remember, a lot of the reason that people don't reinvent themselves, it's not that they don't know what they want or what they're passionate about or what they're supposed to do, is that they're not willing to slow down enough to start to put themselves in the position to take some of those steps forward or make some of those choices. That's what it is. And so just by slowing down each day, what does that really do? It breaks the pattern. All right. It's not the same old, same old. Who here, raise of hands, who feels like Groundhog Day every day? We do sometimes. And yet we're doing a lot of these things, right? But you want to break that feeling of, oh my gosh, it's just going to be another summer, just like last summer, where everybody's on their devices, including us parents, and we're
Yeah.
not connected with each other or ourselves. And so that's what this is about, is saying no more. We're going to break that pattern today. We're going to identify what some of those rituals are to slow down, to connect with ourselves, to take better care of ourselves. Man, is that what this is really all about? Is we're going to finally put the focus back on us
Mhm.
so that we can connect with ourselves, remember who we are and what our potential is and what we're really capable of. And don't forget, by the way, little side note, the influence that creates on our relationships, including with our kids and our husband or our wives,
Mhm.
all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
And so the challenge is pick a couple of these daily rituals, whether it's getting out for a 10 or 15-minute walk each day, whether it's spending a few minutes in the morning or evening just meditating, just slowing down and quieting yourself and listening to that voice. Starting to get curious about what some of your interests are or were and what you'd like to reconnect with and starting to get excited about that again.
Yeah.
Like Erin and I, we do that all the time. Having that vision and having something to look forward to, man, that's a reason to wake up tomorrow morning and say, today's going to be the day that I'm going to take one little small step towards doing that thing that lights me up and gets me excited.
Absolutely. And that's really where reinvention starts. Those quiet moments, getting clarity again, creating that vision for yourself, starting to really cultivate the right environment to bring
Yeah.
some of that stuff to life. And we know Chris and I have each other, thank goodness, and we hold each other accountable and we can even coach each other sometimes when we're in the right mood.
Very
Yeah.
true.
But it's challenging to do on your own.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're like, yes, it's time. It's time for a reinvention. I want to take advantage of this summer and you want some guidance, we're here for you. We
Yeah.
got your back. We would love to talk with you about where you are in your life, what's going on with you. If you have a young adult that you know is ready for some reinvention in their own life and it's
Yeah.
time to get a head start on what's coming up in the fall for them, we're going to have some links below. Book a call with us. We love talking to parents. We love talking to young
Mhm.
adults. And you do not talk to anyone from our team. It's just Chris and I, and we'll have an intimate conversation and see how we can support you in moving forward in your reinvention.
There's really nothing more important.
Mm-hmm.
And my message and my experience is don't wait one more day.
Yep.
Okay. If you know that there is something more for you, that it's time for a change, you need some help and support. I always share this, but my very first mentor, very first thing that I ever learned in the personal development space was you can't do it alone. And in fact, that's a lot of the reasons why we don't reinvent ourselves, is because we feel alone and that feels overwhelming. And so Erin and I are here to make that possible. And to hear what your story is, for us to create your story together and get you on that path ASAP.
That's our passion.
Yeah, it is. All right, everybody.
Yay.
I think this was a good one.
It's a great one.
It's always a great one. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. There are so many great conversations coming up. We love you. We believe in you. We are excited to meet you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Love you guys. Have
Take
a great
care.
week.
Bye-bye.
We are so thankful for you and your beautiful family and hope you found something inside today's episode that brought you hope, inspiration, and most importantly, a path forward. If you're interested in evolving your relationship, giving your kids the most important gift of personal growth and development, or are a mom looking to reconnect with your confidence and become empowered in all areas of your life, then schedule a discovery call with us today. Our mission is to help as many families as possible find their purpose, and that starts with you. See you in the next episode, my friends.